Hey everyone! Welcome back to Globewise Entertainment, your go-to channel for the coolest stories from Hollywood, classic movies, and entertainment secrets you won't find anywhere else. Today, we're diving into a fascinating list of 14 censored 60s movies that were once banned or heavily cut. But now, for the first time, you can stream them without any restrictions. If you haven't subscribed to Globewise Entertainment yet, hit that subscribe button now and ring the bell so you never miss out on the best insider movie content and entertainment updates. Alright, let's jump right in and explore these iconic films that pushed the limits back in the day. Starting with number 14. 1. Peeping Tom, 1960. The film that destroyed a career. When Peeping Tom hit theaters in 1960, audiences weren't just disturbed, they were outraged. Directed by Michael Powell, a respected British filmmaker, this psychological thriller told the story of a shy cameraman who secretly films the terrified expressions of women he murders. The film's mix of voyeurism, psychological trauma, and graphic violence was far ahead of its time, and completely taboo for the era. Critics tore it apart. Some called it nauseating and evil. The backlash was so severe that Powell's career never recovered. The film was pulled from many cinemas, buried under censorship, and largely forgotten, until film historians re-evaluated it decades later as a pioneering piece of horror and cinema technique. Today, Peeping Tom is considered a classic, praised for its bold narrative and chilling cinematography. And now, it's finally available to stream uncensored, just as Powell originally intended. What was once banned is now revered. If you're into psychological thrillers, this one's a must-watch. 2. Los Golfos, 1960. Translation: The Hooligans. Director: Carlos Saura. Country: Spain. In Franco-era Spain, censorship was suffocating. Films that exposed poverty, rebellion, or youth delinquency were immediately suppressed. But in 1960, a daring young filmmaker named Carlos Saura defied the odds with Los Golfos, a raw, unflinching look at Madrid's underclass. The film follows a group of teenage boys, uneducated, jobless, and restless, navigating the slums of the Spanish capital. With dreams of becoming bullfighters, their hopes slowly unravel into crime and despair. But Los Golfos was more than just a story of disillusionment. It was a scathing portrait of a society ignoring its youth. What made the film so dangerous at the time wasn't violence or nudity, but truth. It was the first Spanish film to use non-professional actors, filmed entirely on location in Madrid's poorest districts, showing the harsh realities of life under Franco's regime. Spanish censors saw it as a threat, and while it was allowed to screen at the Cannes Film Festival, it was severely restricted back home. Now, decades later, Los Golfos is finally streaming uncut, its social critique no longer muzzled. It stands as an early landmark in European neo-realism, and a bold act of cinematic resistance. 3. Ulysses, 1967. Based on James Joyce's groundbreaking and controversial novel, Ulysses, 1967, was a film that pushed the boundaries of what was acceptable in cinema, and paid the price with bans and censorship across several countries. Directed by Joseph Strick, the movie dared to translate Joyce's stream-of-consciousness style to the screen, portraying the inner thoughts of Leopold Bloom as he wanders Dublin over the course of a single day. But it wasn't the narrative structure that shocked audiences. It was the raw, unfiltered depiction of sexuality, bodily functions, and explicit language that sent censors into a frenzy. At the time, Ulysses was banned in Ireland and faced harsh restrictions in the UK and the United States. Critics and authorities labeled it obscene, with entire scenes censored or cut just to get it screened in some cities. The film's bold attempt to remain faithful to Joyce's provocative language and inner monologues was seen as a direct challenge to the moral codes of the 1960s. Today, however, Ulysses is finally available in its uncut form on streaming platforms. No black bars, no muted audio, no moral policing. Modern audiences can now experience the film as it was meant to be seen, unflinching, cerebral, and boundary-breaking. It's a true artifact of cinema history that reminds us how far we've come in terms of creative freedom. 4. The Damned, 1969. Directed by Italian filmmaker Luchino Visconti, The Damned, original title, La caduta degli dei, is an unapologetically disturbing dive into the moral collapse of a wealthy German family during the rise of Nazism. When it premiered in 1969, audiences and censors were shaken by its unflinching portrayal of decadence, incest, and political depravity. The film follows the Essenbecks, a powerful industrial family, as they descend into madness, betrayal, and corruption, mirroring Germany's slide into fascism. With its haunting atmosphere and surreal imagery, The Damned doesn't just depict evil, it dissects it. But it was this brutal honesty that led to widespread censorship. Scenes involving sexual perversion, Nazi orgies, and child abuse were considered too graphic, even for European audiences. The film was heavily edited or outright banned in several countries, and US releases came trimmed to avoid an X rating. Today, The Damned is finally streaming uncut, restored in full 4K glory, allowing viewers to witness Visconti's bold masterpiece the way it was meant to be seen: provocative, disturbing, and unforgettable. No more cuts, no more filters, just pure, uncensored cinema history.
5. If 1968. Once banned, now boldly streaming, If is a film that shook the British establishment to its core. Directed by Lindsay Anderson and starring a young Malcolm McDowell in his breakout role, this 1968 drama follows a group of rebellious students at a traditional English boarding school. But this is no ordinary coming-of-age tale. As the film progresses, its surreal, revolutionary tone becomes impossible to ignore, culminating in a shocking and violent finale that had censors scrambling. At the time of its release, If was labeled dangerous and subversive. It earned an X rating in the UK and faced threats of censorship or outright bans in several countries due to its anarchic themes, its raw portrayal of institutional cruelty, and scenes of nudity and implied violence. Schools, authority figures, and even the British elite saw it as an incitement to rebellion. Yet, decades later, If is hailed as a cinematic masterpiece, a daring critique of conformity and authoritarianism. And now, for the first time in years, you can watch it uncut and uncensored on streaming platforms. It's a powerful reminder of how film can challenge society and why some stories refuse to stay silent. 6. I Am Curious, Yellow, 1967. When it comes to pushing cinematic boundaries, few films rattled the world like I Am Curious, Yellow. Released in 1967 by Swedish filmmaker Vilgot Sjöman, this movie wasn't just controversial, it was outright banned in several countries, including the United States, for its bold blend of politics, sex, and social commentary. The film follows a young woman named Lena, portrayed by Lena Nyman, as she embarks on a journey of self-discovery, questioning class divisions, sexual norms, and Sweden's political structure. But what truly shocked audiences at the time was its graphic nudity and frank depictions of sexuality, unprecedented in mainstream cinema. It was even seized by US Customs and labeled as obscene. The case went to court, and it took a federal ruling to declare the film protected under the First Amendment. Now, decades later, I Am Curious, Yellow, is streaming without restrictions, a testament to how far society and film censorship have evolved. Once banned and branded indecent, it's now studied in film schools for its daring structure and political themes. Watching it today is like opening a time capsule of 1960s radicalism, raw, unapologetic, and thought-provoking.
7. Flaming Creatures, 1963. From underground shock to uncensored classic. In the early 1960s, American cinema was tightly controlled by strict censorship rules. Enter Flaming Creatures, 1963, a groundbreaking underground film that challenged everything the establishment thought was acceptable. Directed by the enigmatic Jack Smith, this cult classic became a lightning rod for controversy with its bold exploration of gender fluidity, sexuality, and surreal imagery. Flaming Creatures was unlike anything audiences had ever seen, a psychedelic, almost dreamlike journey featuring a cast of eccentric performers dressed in garish costumes, engaging in ambiguous, often erotic acts. The film's raw, unapologetic depiction of sexuality, including nudity and same-sex relationships, outraged conservative critics and authorities alike. The reaction was swift and harsh. The film was banned in several cities, seized by police, and led to arrests on obscenity charges. Screenings were often disrupted or shut down, and it became a symbol of artistic freedom fighting against the constraints of censorship. For years, Flaming Creatures was nearly impossible to see in its full, uncensored form. Fast forward to today, this once forbidden underground film has been restored and is now available to stream without restrictions. Modern audiences can finally experience Jack Smith's visionary work in all its original, unfiltered glory. Its legacy as a pioneering piece of queer cinema and avant-garde art has only grown stronger, influencing generations of filmmakers and artists. Watching Flaming Creatures now is more than just viewing a movie, it's witnessing a bold piece of cinematic history that dared to defy societal norms and censorship, paving the way for the freedom of expression we enjoy today. 8. Titic Follys, 1967. One of the most controversial, and groundbreaking, documentaries of the 1960s, Titic Follys offers an unflinching look inside the Bridgewater State Hospital for the Criminally Insane in Massachusetts. Directed by Frederick Wiseman, the film was initially banned from public screening for decades due to its raw and graphic portrayal of the treatment, and often mistreatment, of patients. When Titic Follys was first released in 1967, it shocked audiences with its stark reality: no narration, no voiceover, just direct, observational footage that exposed the harsh conditions, abuse, and dehumanization endured by the inmates. Authorities argued that showing the patients violated their privacy and dignity, leading to a legal battle that effectively censored the film for nearly 40 years. But today, Titic Follys is finally streaming worldwide without restrictions, allowing new generations to witness this powerful piece of cinema history. It remains a chilling, essential documentary that challenges viewers to confront uncomfortable truths about mental health institutions, ethics in filmmaking, and human rights. Watching Titic Follys now is like stepping back in time to a period when documentary cinema began pushing boundaries, forcing society to face realities it would rather ignore. It's a tough watch, but an important one. 9. The War Game, 1966. One of the most haunting and controversial films of the 1960s, The War Game was originally made for the BBC but was immediately banned from broadcast due to its stark and unsettling portrayal of nuclear war's devastating aftermath. Directed by Peter Watkins, this docudrama-style film isn't just a fictional story, it feels like a brutal wake-up call, blending gritty realism with raw emotional power. The film depicts the chilling sequence of events following a nuclear attack on Britain, showing not only the immediate destruction but the horrific long-term effects on survivors, radiation sickness, societal breakdown, and government collapse. Its graphic imagery and uncompromising message about the horrors of nuclear warfare were deemed too disturbing for public television at the time. Despite winning the Academy Award for Best Documentary Feature in 1967, The War Game remained banned on British TV for almost 20 years. It was considered too realistic and terrifying to air, as it challenged audiences to confront the terrifying possibility of nuclear annihilation in a way few films dared. Today, this once-censored masterpiece is streaming without restrictions, offering a sobering glimpse into Cold War fears and the catastrophic human cost of war. For modern viewers, The War Game stands as a powerful reminder of why peace is precious, and why censorship sometimes masks uncomfortable truths.
10. Night of the Living Dead, 1968. When George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead first hit theaters in 1968, it didn't just redefine horror, it also rattled the cage of censorship boards across the U.S. The film's raw depiction of gore, graphic violence, and its unflinching portrayal of societal breakdown was unlike anything audiences had seen before. Back then, many theaters outright refused to show it, or only screened heavily edited versions. The movie's stark black and white cinematography added to its unsettling realism, making the undead menace all the more terrifying and disturbing. Moreover, the film's social commentary, including a groundbreaking role for African-American actor Dwayne Jones as the protagonist, made it controversial in ways that extended beyond just scares. For years, fans could only see Night of the Living Dead in censored or truncated formats, losing much of the tension and grim impact that made it a cult classic. But now, streaming platforms have restored and released the original uncut version for everyone to watch without restrictions. The blood, the suspense, and the chilling atmosphere remain as powerful and provocative as ever, inviting a new generation to witness where modern zombie horror truly began. 11. Blowup, 1966. One of the most iconic and controversial films of the 1960s, Blowup broke new ground in both storytelling and visual style, but it also stirred plenty of controversy that led to censorship in several countries for decades. Directed by Michelangelo Antonioni, Blowup dives deep into the swinging London scene of the 60s through the eyes of a fashion photographer who believes he may have unwittingly captured a murder on film. At the time of its release, Blowup pushed boundaries with its explicit depiction of sexuality and a bold, ambiguous narrative that questioned reality and perception. The film's provocative nude scenes and the existential themes made it a lightning rod for censorship boards, which cut or banned it outright in some regions, fearing its mature content and open-ended message. Now, after decades of restrictions and controversy, Blowup is finally available to stream without censorship, restored to its original vision. Viewers can experience the full, unfiltered atmosphere of 1960s London, complete with the evocative visuals and daring storytelling that made the film a cult classic. It's a rare opportunity to see a piece of cinema history exactly as Antonioni intended, provocative, mysterious, and unforgettable. Whether you're a cinephile, a fan of 60s culture, or just curious about why this film caused such a stir, Blowup stands out as a must-watch on this list of censored 60s gems now streaming freely. 12. Bel Deour, 1967. One of the most provocative and enigmatic films of the 1960s, Bel Deour was initially met with controversy and censorship due to its daring exploration of female sexuality and fantasy. Directed by Louis Buñuel, the film stars Catherine Deneuve as Séverine Cerisy, a respectable young housewife who leads a secret life as a high-class prostitute during the afternoons. Upon its release, Bel Deour pushed the boundaries of what was acceptable in mainstream cinema, intertwining surrealism with a provocative narrative that challenged societal norms about desire, repression, and identity. Censors in various countries demanded cuts and alterations, fearing its bold themes would provoke scandal. Today, however, Bel Deour has been fully restored and is streaming without restrictions, allowing new generations to experience Buñuel's masterful blend of dreamlike imagery and complex character study as originally intended. The film's exploration of the duality of human nature and the tension between fantasy and reality remains as captivating and as controversial as ever. Whether you're a fan of classic cinema, a student of film history, or simply curious about the cinematic revolution of the 1960s, Bel Deour is a must-watch, now free from the censorship that once muffled its voice.
Thanks for watching our countdown of 14 censored 60s movies now streaming without restrictions. If you love uncovering hidden gems and exploring the bold, boundary-breaking films of Hollywood's past, you're in the right place. If you haven't subscribed to Globewise Entertainment yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button now and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest videos about classic movies, Hollywood stories, and entertainment history. Drop a comment below telling us which censored movie surprised you the most, and don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. Until next time, keep watching boldly, and we'll see you in the next video.